Speak closer to the microphone, Honorable Mutuse. Speak closer to the microphone, please.
We will be urging the Senate to uphold the impeachment.
Mr. Mutuse, I'm asking a specific question on a specific allegation. It is your desire for these senators to impeach this deputy president on an allegation that he has, through his proxies, taken control of a cooperative society we don't know, isn't it?
I have said I leave that to their decision.
Is it your desire? Is that what you desire? You want some outcome from this process, you as the mover of this motion. Is that what you want of this motion?
What do you understand when I say I leave it to their decision?
You have no right to ask me any question.
Just say yes or no. We move on. We make progress.
Thank you. My apologies. Yes.
Thank you so much for that comic moment. You also want this distinguished Senate to find the deputy president to have taken over the control of this unknown circle. Now, this is my element, through undisclosed family members.
Indeed, it is my desire that the motion is upheld.
Mr. Mutuse, Honorable Mutuse, do you know the seriousness of the business that keeps us here?
Very well.
My apologies, I didn't get the answer. I didn't get the answer.
I know.
Thank you. You find this request for senators to find this deputy president guilty of taking over an undisclosed circle a serious expectation on your part?
Indeed.
You also find your expectation for these senators to find the deputy president to use unknown family members to take over that circle a serious expectation?
Indeed.
You take your work as a member of parliament seriously?
Very seriously.
You respect your constituents who brought you to this house?
Very much.
And you are manifesting that respect for your constituents by this expectation you have just mentioned here?
In fact, the whole country is discussing my motion.
I'm asking whether you are manifesting your respect for your constituents by the expectation you have just alluded to.
In the totality of the...
No, I'm talking about this particular fact. I'm dealing with a particular fact.
In the totality of the motion, yes.
My question is, your expectation for this Senate to find the DP culpable on allegations of undisclosed family members over undisclosed circle, that allegation, you are manifesting your respect for your constituents through that allegation?
Yes.
Thank you. Paragraph A alleges that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has connived with cartels in the tea sector to block the Kenya Tea Development Agency from implementing guaranteed minimum returns that would benefit smallholder tea farmers. Is that the allegation?
Indeed.
Have you given us in this motion or in the supporting evidence the name of any cartel?
No.
Have you given us in this motion or in the supporting evidence the grievance or the complaint by the Kenya Tea Development Agency?
No.
This is also part of your expression of respect for your constituents.
Indeed.
It is also part of the seriousness with which you take this motion.
Indeed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, may I now move to the video 10 and 10A. Let's start with 10 first.
Watu ya Kayole, tangu mtupatie nafasi ya uongozi, sijapata nafasi ya kuja kusema asanti. Nataka kutoka kwa roho yangu ndani, watu ya Kayole, asanteni sana. Mimi najua, nimeona iko shida ya watu ambaye walibomolewa, si ndio? Na nimeona mumeandika vizuri ya kwamba mteue kamati ya watu wachache ndio mkuje niketi na nyinyi.
Just pause there.
Mtakubaliana?
Pause there. At that time, the deputy president is suggesting that he needs the people, the citizens there to have a small committee to have an engagement with him. True or not true?
True.
Is there anything wrong with that claim by the deputy president?
There is nothing wrong with.
Let's proceed.
Mimi ningetaka wale watu ambaye walipata shida hii ya ubomoaji, ambaye ni kitu tulikuwa tumeahidi wananchi haitafanyika kwa serikali yetu. Mimi ningetaka niwasikize na nitapanga na mheshimiwa Meja Dong wakuje ndio tukue na nafasi ya kuongea.
Let's pause there.
Tumekubaliana.
The deputy president is saying he wants to listen to those people so that together they can talk. Is that what he's saying?
Ambayo ni kitu tulikuwa tumeahidi haitafanyika kwa serikali yetu.
No, you didn't get my question, Mr. Mutuse. Please be a good listener. Just answer my questions. The deputy president is saying he wants those to sit with Honorable Madong, I didn't get the name right, and those people so that they can sit and talk. Is that what he's saying?
In context, yes, that's part of it.
Is there anything wrong with that statement?
There's nothing wrong with people sitting.
The deputy president is also saying that they had promised during the campaigns that they will not be demolishing people's structures. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, he's saying that.
Is there anything wrong in that promise?
There is nothing wrong in that promise.
As an active member of the Kenyan political space, is he lying that there was such a promise?
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. Let's proceed.
Tumekubaliana. Tumekubaliana. Watu ya Kayole.
Let us not have a war with wananchi.
Let's stop there. The deputy president is saying, let us not have war with the wananchi. Do you find anything offensive in that statement?
There is nothing offensive.
Thank you.
Let us not have a war with wananchi. Tusipigane na wananchi wale walituchagua. Let us be empathetic.
Let's stop there.
Let us.
He's calling for empathy towards wananchi. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Do you find anything offensive in that call?
It is the forum where he's saying it.
Do you have anything wrong with that call for empathy?
I have a problem with the forum.
No, you're answering your own question. I'm asking whether you have a problem with the call for empathy.
My allegation is that he had forum.
I've asked whether you have a problem with his call for empathy. Please answer my question.
He would have said as much in cabinet.
Please answer my question. Do you have a problem with a call for empathy?
I have no problem with the call for empathy other than.
Let me move to the next question. Do you have a problem with a deputy president calling for empathy in public?
I have no problem other than the forum.
What forum was that, by the way?
This appears to be a press conference.
What law prohibits a deputy president from calling for empathy at a press conference?
The law is that you raise all those issues in cabinet.
Which law prohibits a deputy president from calling for empathy at a press conference?
There is no law that prohibits a deputy.
Thank you so much. Let's make progress with the playing of the video.
If people must move, let there be an engagement.
Thank you so much. What is wrong with that statement? If people must move, let there be an engagement. What is wrong with it?
There is nothing wrong with having engagement.
Thank you. You are a lawyer, you said?
Yes.
You know the principle of public participation?
Indeed.
It's actually what the deputy president is addressing. The deputy president is saying, let's have an engagement. That is consistent with the constitutional principle of public participation. True or not true?
Well, that's you saying so.
The deputy president is saying, let's have an engagement. Is that consistent with or inconsistent with the constitutional principle of public participation?
Engagement and public participation may mean different things at different levels.
The deputy president is saying, let us have an engagement. I'm asking whether that is consistent with or inconsistent with the principle of public participation.
Again, as I said, We would imagine before a policy goes to cabinet, it has also been taken through public participation.
Did you engage in public participation?
And if you sit in cabinet, you raise objections to that policy, and if your objections are upheld, the policy falls.
Which part of this statement by the Deputy President?
If your objections,
sorry, I'm not asking the question.
Yes.
Which part of this statement calling for empathy violates a policy decision of cabinet?
We have the affidavit of Mercy Wanjau that clearly shows that the cabinet adopted a position on that.
Did the cabinet adopt a resolution for unempathetic evictions?
The Deputy President was in cabinet. He is the one who better placed to tell us.
You are the move of this motion, and we are testing the Deputy President's statements against your allegation.
Indeed.
Did the cabinet adopt a resolution for unempathetic evictions?
The cabinet adopted a resolution.
Did the cabinet adopt a resolution for unempathetic evictions? Yes or no?
A resolution for empathetic evictions.
And the DP here is calling for empathetic evictions from what we have heard. True or not true?
True.
So that is consistent with the cabinet resolution. True or not true?
Semantics.
So Speaker, has my question been answered from your understanding? I don't think it's been answered.
Order, honorable senators. You note how the witness is answering the questions and make your judgment. Let's make progress. Let's make progress. If a witness is evading questions, please note that. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, you are right in that ruling, save that he is doing this at the expense of my time and the Deputy President's time, and at the compromise of the Deputy President's right to a fair hearing, where he has to have adequate time, which means time managed economically.
Proceed.
Did the Cabinet approve unempathetic or empathetic evictions?
Cabinet approved evictions in public interest.
I'm asking a different question.
Empathetic.
Did the Deputy President call for empathy or lack of empathy?
Empathy.
Is that call by the Deputy President consistent or inconsistent with the Cabinet resolution?
Inconsistent.
Did Cabinet approve a resolution not to engage citizens in the demolitions?
That I wouldn't know because I'm not a member of Cabinet.
And yet you are saying that call by the Deputy President to engage citizens is part of the violation of the Cabinet resolution.
The Deputy President will be accorded a maximum of 2 hours for
Mr.
evidence
Mutusa, I sought to know whether the people,
the National
you
Assembly
respect the people who
will
elected
then have a maximum of 2 hours for cross-examination. That will happen during this afternoon session, where the Deputy President will be telling senators why the 11 charges leveled against him, among the charges being undermining matters to do with devolution, undermining the presidency, and matters to do with gross misconduct, why the charges are frivolous and baseless, as has been termed by his counsel. After the completion of the allocated time, which is about 4 hours according to the program, during this afternoon session, the House will then move to have senators ask questions as well as clarifications. And thereafter, the National Assembly will be given an hour to do their closing statements. Our dear viewers, here is where the Defense Counsel for the prosecution here being the National Assembly, the team at the National Assembly, they are being led by lawyers, Honorable James Orengo being the lead counsel of the team, as well as lawyers such as Muthomi Thiankolu, and during the 60 minutes allocated by the Speaker, being the closing statement, the National Assembly will be having their final opportunity to convince the House why they should uphold the impeachment charges leveled against the Deputy President. Similarly, The Defense Council and the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya will equally be accorded 60 minutes to convince senators, this being last-minute attempts to convince the House why the charges against the Deputy President should not be upheld and why the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya ought to continue being in office. After the completion of the closing statements by the two sides, we will be having a closed-door session by senators before the honorable members of the Senate consider and vote on the 11 grounds for removal from office. The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi, has already stepped into the chamber this afternoon. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with KBC. My name is Gladys Mungai. Enjoy your viewing.
Na tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Twakuomba utuajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do you have quorum? So, honorable senators, please take your seats. We do have quorum, so we'll straight away go to this afternoon's business. Clerk, you may now call the first order.
Order number 1, communication from the chair. Order number 2, hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
We'll give time to ample time to parties so that they can adequately present their cases. Now, as of yesterday, the Deputy President had been allocated 3 hours. 1 hour was taken away for other businesses of yesterday and today. That is pursuant to a request by counsel for the Deputy President. And therefore, as we speak, the Deputy President will have 2 hours to present his case, and thereafter the National Assembly will have 1.5 hours, because they've also consumed half an hour of the 2 hours that had been granted to them yesterday. So you had borrowed 10 minutes, you ended up consuming 20 more minutes. As per our record. Council, this is not a matter to debate.
Mr. Speaker, so I just wanted to clarify that we had borrowed 10 minutes.
Yes, you borrowed 10 minutes, but you ended up consuming 20 more.
No. We did get that indication, Mr. Speaker. In fact,
now you're getting the indication.
Yes. We had budgeted our time knowing that we had 1 hour, 15 minutes.
Consume the 1 hour and a half, and then let's see where that takes you, and then we'll be able to engage when you consume the 1.5 hours.
We are most obliged, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Senior Counsel Paul Mwite. If you're ready, you may usher in your witness.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, just to get clarification, I was under the impression that the National Assembly will proceed and close their case, and that then Counsel for the Deputy President will now present the Deputy President, who is the only one that we are calling as a witness. And that thereafter, the National Assembly will make their closing speech, and we will have the opportunity at that time to also make our closing speech. So I would like to have clarification.
Very well, Senior Counsel. Maybe I'll read the whole program all the way to the end.
Thank you.
You will proceed. Of course, for the record, I will ask the National Assembly to officially rest their matter to allow you usher in your witness. Once your witness takes to the stand, you have 2 hours to present your case. The National Assembly has 1.5 hours for purposes of cross-examination. Thereafter, the senators will have 1 hour to seek clarifications or ask questions. Once that is done, the Counsel for the National Assembly will have 1 hour to make closing remarks. Likewise, the team of the Deputy President will be given 1 hour to make its closing remarks. Once that is done, the Senate will move into a closed session as per our rules of procedure. So that is the program for this afternoon.
I'm now very clear, Mheshimiwa Speaker, and I thank you. The situation is now clear. But just before my colleagues on the other side close their case, can I, through Mheshimiwa Speaker, ask whether the National Assembly still wishes to call a witness whose affidavit was filed, the governor of the county government of Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja. We have a copy of his affidavit. Is he going to be called or not called? Because if the National Assembly is not calling that affidavit, whose affidavit is part of the record and was availed to us, that affidavit, Mheshimiwa Speaker, contains allegations that are extremely injurious to the Deputy President. So if he is not going to be called, we will be making an application for that affidavit to be expunged from the records of this Honorable Senate. Thank you.
Counsel for the National Assembly, you had listed quite a number of witnesses. Are you going to call all of them, or are you going to, for the record, are you going to close your case where we are?
Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the National Assembly, we shall close our case where we are. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you are with your permission, I could respond to the submissions by my learned senior, Mr. Paul Mwite.
Please do.
Mr. Speaker, sir, at the beginning of the proceedings that we are currently going through, this House did invite parties to give indications as to the witnesses they wanted to call. Mr. Speaker, sir, we gave the list of the witnesses whom we thought were relevant for purposes of clarifying what we needed to have clarified. If Counsel for His Excellency the Deputy President did not do as much or did not take advantage of that window that was open, surely they cannot blame us for it. But secondly, and more importantly, Mr. Speaker, sir, yesterday, in the course of a deliberation, learned senior counsel, Mr. Paul Mwita, is making were to be looked at in its totality. He is actually making an application to amend or to remove certain aspects of the evidence from the record. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is an issue that you settled and rested yesterday. I don't think it's an issue that is open for re-intervention. Mr. Speaker, sir, it should also suffice to note that even on our side, there are affidavits that form part of the record that came from the National Assembly. In particular, there is an affidavit sworn and which is in favor of His Excellency the Deputy President, an affidavit sworn by the joint executors of the will, that is Mr. Njoroge Rigeru, together with the other executors. It is part of this record. We have not made an application to have it expunged. We have an opportunity to deal with it when the time comes. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the nature of the sittings that this House currently is undertaking is quasi-judicial. It is inquisitorial in nature. If that is to be the correct position, Mr. Speaker, sir, then the rules of evidence as we know it in the court would not necessarily bind the proceedings, because what has been presented is the subject of what the honorable senators are going to investigate. At the end of it, it is not a judgment that they will be giving, it will be a vote. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senior Counsel Paul Mwita.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, first and foremost, the affidavits that my colleague, my learned friend, referred to were sworn by the executors of the will of the late brother to the Deputy President. They were filed in the National Assembly, in the proceedings in the National Assemblies. They were never filed here as affidavits of witnesses that we proposed to call. With regard